So in
I
order,
mean, even though that map did indicate that, I didn't want to put him on the spot or anything, but we talked about it before, and however we discuss it, I apologize if I put you on the spot, but I just let that out there so you guys know too.
thank you, Mr. Royal. In order to amend the zoning map, we have to pass an ordinance. You have been presented with ordinance number 2016. It's going to be -22 if the council so desires to move forward. It would be ordinance amending zoning ordinance for 731 West Franklin Street, stating that Grimes First Edition, lots 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8, vacated road and alley and former portion of the Wabash Erie Canal will go from a zone which was never assigned by the city of Delphi to a B2 local business district. Do we have any discussion amongst the council?
That's what you want, right?
B2, yes, business too. Yeah, I mean, well, the reason being, and
Oh,
I
it's okay.
apologize for everybody to waste time, but because B2, everything north of me, south of me, to the west of me is B2. Industrial is to the catty corner, the adjacent property, and I got the signature from the only resident that's a housing U1 that is across the canal on the other side, and they signed that I would be fine with B2. So, and they're also out of the city limits. But I apologize, but these things come up as we go, and so when we discover these things, I didn't know for sure when this property actually got zoned into the city. What I understood from someone else that potentially it got zoned, or it got annexed into the city. Is anybody aware of that fairly recently? Or has it been part of the city based on the plat maps for a long, long period of time before 1930, whatever? No one knows? Okay, just curious. Because I'll just assume that it was a long time.
So,
Okay,
so
sorry.
your answer is yes, then, to my question? I just want to make sure.
I move the ordinance 2016-22 be approved on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2016-22, amending to a B2 district for 731 West Franklin Street. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Is this time sensitive, Mr. Royal, or
For what?
for the change? Could we wait until January and do second and third reading at that point?
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Wagner? Any objection?
That's fine with me.
City Council?
I mean, does that hold me back from doing what I normally do or anything like that? I wouldn't.
Mr. Wagner indicates no, so we'll see. Thank you, Mr. Royal. All right, seeing as that is all the items where we have public petitioners, I'll move back to the agenda. We have first reading of ordinance restricting multi-axle traffic on East Main Street. This was discussed at the last city council meeting. Because I think the last ordinance I was presented had weight limits. It was discussed to change it to an axle restriction, what you have in front of you. Amends Delphi Code 70.061, which states when signs are erected giving notice thereof, no person shall operate any vehicle with a number of axles in excess of the amount specified at any time upon East Main Street from Washington to 300 North, as described in Schedule 9, Chapter 75, except that such restrictions shall not apply to the necessary local operation on such streets for the purposes of picking up or delivering materials. Schedule 9 indicates that no vehicle in excess of 2 axles shall be allowed on East Main Street. except for routine business operations that require picking up or delivering materials to and from businesses on such streets and City of Delphi vehicles. After reviewing the proposed ordinance, is there anything the city council sees that needs to be amended in this document?
So businesses, deliveries to businesses will still be okay.
Yes,
Local rec?
yes. Well, I added also picking up, because I think Mr. Watson had mentioned that oftentimes pickup is frequent, so picking up or delivering.
And this is mainly the East Main Street to prevent semis from traveling that road, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But it will also enable farm trucks and semis to get from the heartland to 300 to go in the back of the Andersons, correct?
That's my understanding, yeah, I think that's why you guys chose those roads, because that allows that alternate path.
I believe the signs are erected on the west side of 300 North when you're heading westbound. They're on the stoplight if you're heading eastbound. And that's for the frost wall. I assume they'd be erected in the same place, superintendent lines.
Will we have a truck route sign put up, so here at the light, so that semis will know that they no longer go down through there?
We would have a sign erected indicating that no multi-axle or over two axle. We'd have something, we'd have some signage, just like what we have with the frost wall.
Okay, okay.
I believe Superintendent Lyons, you may have a better idea of what that sign would look
Yeah,
like.
we'll get a sign that's appropriate for the ordinance and get it installed on both ends.
Yes, sir.
So does that mean nobody can travel that street with their cargo trailer or their flatbed trailer? If it's got two axles on it? Or what do you,
Well, this says in excess of two axles. That'd be,
well, you got two on your truck. So that mean nobody can pull their,
And I think that's something you guys discussed when we first brought it up. I mean, I obviously don't have a preference, but when, I guess if you're gonna limit semis, are you also going to limit things like that? I mean,
oh,
is it for business, for purposes of business, picking up or delivering materials?
well, not in that stretch of road. There's a lot of people,
yeah.
hook onto their little trailer pulling their lawnmower. And most of their, at least three axles.
I don't think it was the intention to prohibit people pulling trailers and the such.
And how to say road.
Right, from heavy semi. Yes, sir.
It's not a vehicle.
The trailers.
Car and a trailer are not a vehicle, it's two vehicles. Okay.
Well, that's true. I guess the thought is it has to be able to move independently on its own. A trailer can't move
Well,
without
so-
the.
And the other term of that, a semi-truck could drive down the road not pulling his trailer. He's only got the two axles.
If it only had two axes.
Right,
Most of them have three axes.
right.
Without the trailer, he can go down there.
If it meets the two axles.
On a tractor, you can still pull a trailer. Since you're not putting any weight restrictions on it.
And we have to keep in mind this has to be able to go on a sign, so we're not gonna be able to, we're not gonna be able to like meet every single possibility. It's just not,
I mean,
Just have to do
originally,
it
we got
with-
stumped because it was a weight thing.
right.
because
because
Mr.
of
Watson's
the-
truck was gonna push this on weight, and he lives on the road, so we went to multi-axles now, and we're worried about,
Can we just say
Pulling
no
trailer.
truck traffic on East Main?
Yeah.
I mean, could it-
Well, then what's a truck?
Semi-truck.
I mean, it's gotta be easier, cause pointing out a good nuance.
I'm glad to do whatever the council would like
Is
to
that,
do. That's where it is. I mean, we certainly can't do weight because there's no way to monitor it. Axles are easy for local police to see, but if you would prefer just semi-truck traffic,
Personally, I think it just needs to read no multi-axle trucks. That'll cover the tri-axles, which carry almost 30 ton, and that'll cover any semi-truck with a trailer that's hauling anywhere, up to 90,000 pounds. If you do no multi-truck, Doesn't pertain to
I don't believe I'm.
Mr. So-and-so with a pickup truck and a trailer. It's just strictly heavy truck traffic.
I don't believe the chief would send them out chasing a pickup truck with a trailer.
So you would prefer it, instead of specifying 2 axles, multi-axle trucks?
Are prohibited from East Main Street from.
Yeah, keep everything else, but take out
Washington
2
Street,
axles.
or still allow local deliveries, pickups and deliveries.
Does that work?
Pickups too.
Does that work?
Is there anything else that would need to be included in the language of the ordinance? Public, do you have any things that, because each month we keep getting some from the public, it's like, oh, we didn't think of that. So now let's think about, so if we have no multi-axle trucks, is there anything that we could see a problem with that?
That'll also protect like your smaller construction companies who run the smaller dump trucks or single axles. So they'll be allowed through there. It just prevents the tri-axles and the semi-tractor and trailer.
Got it.
Ms. Martin, how shall we proceed?
That was the second reading?
Yes, no, ma'am, this is the first reading.
Okay, so we could do first reading with the amendments and then second, maybe third.
Well, there's really no brush because you got the frost law out there anyway. So
True.
either one.
I mean, it's an extremely simple amendment, I'm just changing the grammar.
So,
No, no.
I'll accept
Had nothing to do with it.
a motion to table to allow Ms. Martin to amend the language to state no multi-axle trucks on East Main Street in the same places with the same exceptions. Could I get a motion for that?
I move that we table this for the clarification.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. What would be ordinance, axle restriction upon vehicles using certain roadways. So Ms. Martin may amend the language to say multi-axle trucks. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, members of the general public, city council, Ms. Martin. We'll move next to second reading of parking against the flow of traffic and backing into angle parking spaces. The last city council meeting, this was numbered ordinance 2016-17. This is an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 71, parallel parking, roads with adjacent curbs, regulations of motorcycles. It states that prohibited from, I'll just read it. Vehicles stopped or parked upon a roadway must be stopped or parked with the right-hand wheels of the vehicle parallel with and within 10 inches of the right-hand edge of the roadway. It doesn't apply to a motorcycle. They can be parked with the rear wheel of the motorcycle to the curb and the front tire facing the flow of traffic. Where angle parking is permitted, the vehicle stopped or parked upon a roadway in an angle parking spot must be stopped or parked with the front bumper of the vehicle with and within 10 inches of the curb. This subsection does not apply to vehicles picking up or delivering materials so long as such parking complies with all of the regulations in force in the city. This started because people were parking on the wrong side of the road. Indiana code says you have to park within 12 inches. We're making it more restrictive to go after the people on the other side of the road. And we're also prohibiting backing in the angle parking spots. This is ordinance 2016-17.
And just for council's knowledge, the only edit I made since you did first reading was in part D. It said this subsection does not apply to vehicles making deliveries, and I changed that to picking up or making deliveries because of public comment. That's the only change that was made since you last read it.
So this is second reading.
Yes, ma'am.
I move that ordinance 2016-17 be approved on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2016-17 on second reading. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We'll move next to second reading of snow and ice removal on public sidewalks. The the last meeting, this ordinance was number 2016-20. This is an ordinance amending Title 9, Chapter 95, clearing of snow and ice from sidewalks. This section shall not apply to property owners adjacent to the interurban trail path running from Hamilton Street to Washington Street. The owner of private property shall remove snow and/or ice upon the sidewalks within all public right-of-ways abutting private property within 24 hours after the snow has ceased to fall or accumulate, regardless of the source of the accumulation. Provided that when ice is so formed upon any sidewalk that it cannot be removed, then the owner shall keep the same effectively sprinkled with sand, salt, or other suitable substance in such a manner as to prevent the ice from being dangerous until such time as it can be removed, and then it shall be properly removed. If the abutting sidewalk is greater than 4 feet in width, then said sidewalk need only be cleared of snow in such a manner as to provide for a minimum of 4 feet of clear width for its entire length. A fine of $10 shall be imposed for a violation of subsection B. This is ordinance 2016-20. Do we have any discussion?
Did we ever figure out who was running the clock on this, where we get the determination of when the snow stops? I mean, does that include flakes? I mean, I'm confused on that.
So the idea from last council that I picked up was just to keep it as general as possible, so I'm trying not to specify that specific. I mean, I would hope that we could just use our judgment, whoever's enforcing it, use our judgment on when it stops snowing or sleeting or,
And really, like,
I mean, if you wanna put a time, I'm glad to put a time on it.
and really, with the trash can ordinance, I believe the council put the 24-hour allowable time on that.
Well, we have the 24-hour period, but it sounds like what you were asking was, when does the 24 hours start to tick?
And
Well, And that's,
who determines that?
and that's what I was getting at with the trash can ordinance, it's picked up on Tuesdays at different times, so we normally don't, we wait to enforce it until Thursdays, because we don't know what time of the day on Tuesday that it's been picked up. I would imagine that this would operate in the same fashion, unless it stops snowing at 11 o'clock PM. It's not as consistent as what we would have with trash can collection.
If it stops snowing at 12:05 and the banks close at 12 o'clock, so the next day, they're gonna be required to come in on a Sunday and clear their snow.
I can't make that call, I just draft it according to your.
But according to that, if, you know, legally reading it,
Mhm.
then yes.
Yes, that's,
Which we could amend it to 1 business day,
absolutely.
if the council so desires.
So we would be changing within the 24 hours to 1 business day?
If I get a majority vote on the amendment. Councilman Seward, with that,
That gets me closer.
So you're saying if it stops snowing Friday evening, then nobody has to do their sidewalks till end of Monday? It's 3 days. I thought we were trying to, take care of people that let it go 2, 3, 4 days. It's common sense, kinda.
In the, for what it's worth, in the packet that the mayor provided council last time, we have several examples from surrounding cities. For instance, Zionsville says no later than noon, 2 days after the snow has ceased to fall. Rochester says 24 hours after the snow has ceased to fall. Fishers is 24 hours, it looks like. Columbia City, 24 hours.
Well, I understand that. He's
So-
saying,
well,
he's saying who's gonna ring the bell when the snow stops. That's what he's saying.
alluding to another, we have an ordinance on snow removal. When we get more than 2 inches, it's declared a snow emergency, which means we can tow vehicles downtown so that we can adequately plow downtown. Delphi Code 95.60 states that whenever it is determined by the mayor or street commissioner that more than 2 inches of snowfall has accumulated and that a snow emergency exists. So in that other Delphi ordinance, it states that the mayor or street commissioner is the one that determines when a snow emergency exists or when more than 2 inches of snow has fallen.
I mean, let's be real about this. Councilman, you're saying who's putting it on the clock? There's nobody putting it on the clock. I'm sure Steve's not gonna run out, Chief's not gonna run out and start blowing up tickets on somebody right off. Because their ice is there. They're probably gonna go up and say, hey, you know, you need to keep this clean. I mean, our post people, our kids, anybody else that walks on these streets and sidewalks shouldn't have to walk on them. People need to get out and take care of the property. And if 24 hours after it ceases, I don't think somebody's sitting there going, you're 1 minute late, I'm writing you a ticket. I don't think that's gonna happen, so should we just move this on and get on to important business?
It's not whether they will, it's whether they can, and it's an ordinance and it's a law, and that says they can do that.
And she's presented 5 of them over there that all say after it ceases. It doesn't say 1 minute, and the mayor's got to be out there going, right now, oh, no, it's like lightning, there's another strike, gotta wait 20 minutes. You know, come on, it's not rocket science, Dan.
It's common sense, come on.
We waste so much time on stuff that this isn't gonna ruin the whole city.
Do we have any other discussion from the council or a member of the public that wants to speak on this issue? Yes, sir.
As a business owner downtown, I mean, for years, there's a lot of properties that never get shoveled. And that affects our business because, I mean, we're out there, we gotta shovel 2 or 3 times a day. You know, we're doing it and salting, but still you have customers that they're not gonna stop if they gotta walk, you know, through all the other businesses or climb over the piles of snow, you know, where it's being pushed up, out of the street. I mean, you know, it affects the businesses that are trying to keep things cleaned up if you have others that are not doing it. So there needs to be some teeth for them, whatever, to make sure that the walks and streets get clean.
Maybe do we have other council discussion? Does the council wish to amend this proposed ordinance in any fashion?
If there was another public comment or not? No. Guess not. Did you want to speak, Mrs. Dorr?
I was just saying that some, you know, at our private homes, some of us are working when it's done snowing, and we're not gonna be there to shovel it out.
This is just
24 hours.
business.
No, this states, that's why we made the exception to the interurban trail.
Hmm.
This would be all public property owners. Although there's no sidewalk on Masonic Street, is there?
I'm not speaking for myself.
Do we have any other discussion? This is ordinance 2016-20, amending Title 9, Chapter 95, clearing of snow and ice from sidewalks. This is the second reading of this ordinance.
I'll move for approval of, on second reading of ordinance 2016-20 as written on the first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve on second reading ordinance number 2016-20. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. We'll move next to Ms. Walls. I saw you here before we go to new business. You can give us a breakdown of 2016 at the Economic Development Corporation of Carroll County. Ms. Walls, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I've been making the rounds to the different town councils and to the county commissioners, talking about highlighting our activities for 2016, and I'm very proud to stand before you today and report that 2016 has been a banner year for the EDC and for Carroll County in a lot of ways, especially in some areas that relate directly to you and the city of Delphi. This year we have worked literally every business day with Indiana Packers on a couple of expansion projects. Project Bacon, we've been working with the county council on getting that abatement resolved. We're still very hopeful to have it resolved before the end of the calendar year. That was a project that was announced in September of 15. $40 million investment, 91 new jobs, basically doubling their bacon production. You should have received an email this afternoon from Shannon Telfer in our office announcing Project Chill. That press release goes out tomorrow morning. Project Chill is a 90,000 square foot warehousing facility that Indiana Packers is building on site. That project was competitive. They could have built that facility anywhere from Delphi to Holland, Michigan. They strongly considered sites in northern Indiana and in southern Michigan. But we sat down with Indiana Packers very early on and asked them what would it take for them to do this project here. And one of the things that it required was improvements to County Road 100 North and to 625 West, so they could redirect some of their employee traffic to make sure those roads could accommodate the increased traffic counts. Once we found out what it took, we tried to find a way to make that happen. We worked with the County Redevelopment Commission. They were willing to make those improvements, and we were able to land the project. So that press release goes out tomorrow. Yet last week we had good news out of the Camden area. Jeep Fuel and Energy Indiana announced that they were building a $300 million facility between Camden and Flora, and that's 256 high-paying jobs in the Delphi School District. So that'll have an impact on the school system, but obviously that'll have an impact on Delphi as well. Again, those are good-paying jobs. At the recycling plant, the average wage is $43,000, and at the diesel refinery, it's $60,000. We've been working on that project since April, and we were really happy to be able to share it with elected officials and with the community last week. In February, the EDC moved our offices to the brand new Hoosier Heartland Industrial Park. It's hard to believe it's been about 14 months since the industrial park was completed. We are in the new CWREMC Operations Center. And we have 2 5-acre lots that are sale pending. That project isn't moving quite as quickly or with the sense of urgency that we would like, but it's still active. It's not a dead project yet. And then we have 3 10-acre lots that are available. City water and sewer serves the park, and we have city water hookups to each individual lot. We vacated our downtown Delphi office in February. We've been working very closely with the REMC this year to find a buyer for that building. It's an incredible space. We have a couple of hot leads that we're very confident will lead to a reuse of that facility. We've been working very closely with Next Day Container. In August at our annual luncheon, Next Day Container announced that they were adding a second shift. The holdup to that is finding a manager to operate that second shift, but they are busting at the seams and very desperately need that additional manpower. So hopefully they can get that situation worked out and get the second shift added very soon. They have exceeded their projections for what when they moved here. 2 years ago, as you recall, the city council granted them a tax abatement on the personal property investment that they made in that facility. They now not only occupy the 40,000 square feet that they initially moved into, but they now have the building, the gray building next door as well, and they're still bursting at the seams. So that's a success story. The next door to the Delphi Industrial Park and Next Day Container is the former PNR facility. We've been working very closely with with the prospects that were interested in buying that facility and going through the bankruptcy court proceedings. We worked on a distribution logistics project for a very long time. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get to closing. And so when that project fell through, the local developers, Dow Dellinger and Jeff Van Welden, who have the former Global facility, they stepped up and closed on the facility. They've made a significant investment in that facility. They've replaced all the lighting with LED high efficiency lights. They've done a lot with landscaping. Very importantly, they paid their property taxes and got that caught up, so that's good news. On the flip side, from a Delphi Redevelopment Commission standpoint, they were successful in their reassessment. And so unfortunately, all of the TIF that had been built up into that TIF district was wiped out when the property was reassessed. But they have a couple of tenants already in the Peters Industrial Development site. They're aggressive in their marketing. We have their marketing information on our website and on the state site. One of their tenants is warehousing as part of the Reynolds to Greentown Transmission Line project. So we're working closely with them. We think they're we're really targeting light manufacturing as well as warehousing for that facility. Speaking of the Delphi Development Commission, in 2016, the EDC, and again, administered the RDC at no cost to the city of Delphi. We have a contract for services basically outlining our responsibilities, but we don't charge for that. Joe Mayfield is our president. We have a really good RDC. We were all very excited about the idea of having some TIF dollars to do projects with. I felt it was a bad meeting when I had to tell them, guys, I'm sorry, we actually don't have any TIF. And the meetings we've had talking about projects have all been for nothing. Unfortunately, we're back to zero. But when there is our TIF funds available, that group is very excited about working with you guys and doing some projects, and hopefully we get there soon. Housing and hotel, I just want to touch on those really quickly. Housing and hotel, they kind of lump together in that they're both areas that we know anecdotally we need a hotel, and we need single-family housing, and we need multifamily market rate housing. We all know people that would benefit from it. We're struggling with trying to find the data that can support those millions of dollars worth of investment. But we've been working with developers both on the multi-unit rental side and on the single-family home side. And this goes back to talent attraction. With our unemployment rate as low as it is, we're basically at 100% employment. So we're going to have to go out and find new people to come in and fill the jobs that are available. And this isn't a Carroll County issue. This really is a problem region-wide. So we've partnered with our surrounding counties on a talent attraction plan. But our biggest hurdle locally is on the housing side, and having the good housing stock that the young families are looking for. So it's something that we're working on, and it's a priority for us. But getting that data, those hard numbers is a challenge. You're represented on the EDC board by Joe Mayfield, who's our president, Dick Traeger, and who's on our finance committee, and Bonnie Maxwell, who was our secretary for the first 4 years I was there. Bonnie's term is up at the end of the year, and unfortunately, she's decided not to be reappointed. She wants